Hello and welcome to another M.E.R.G.E marriage moment. I am Bernadette Badio.
And I'm Nesly Badio.
And we are the co-directors for the M.E.R.G.E marriage ministry here at NFAM. We want to talk to you about a topic that we feel is very important in relationships and marriage, and that's that tongue. We're talking about conversations that we might have with our spouse that we probably should not be having.
Yes.
And so today's topic is taming the tongue, a matter of life or death in a relationship or in your marriage. And what do we mean by that? Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love its use will eat its fruit. So essentially, you can speak evil or you can speak blessings.
Yes.
And so you got to be very careful about what you're speaking to your spouse, because it could really cause serious damage in your marriage and your relationship. I looked up the tongue, and one of the facts that it gave me was that the average person has 2,000 to 8,000 taste buds on the tongue.
That's a lot.
So we use the tongue to eat, we use the tongue to talk, but we can also use the tongue to say and do things that damage your marriage.
Yeah, a tongue just use cursing and blessing.
So we wanted to give you some things today that you can think about. Before you speak, think about what you're saying. Think about how you're going to say it to your spouse. Before you say anything, think it over.
Sometimes I say things, I keep saying it, communication. So I say that a lot. But it's a very powerful thing when you do that with your spouse, because when you communicate, because sometimes as a man, we may speak a little bit louder than we should. That can cause a conflict, because we speak, we don't try to say anything bad, but our spouse take that a little bit different. So therefore, we have to be careful when we are really put our voice high or low.
So hateful words can erode a relationship, leaving room for bitterness to take root. Words should never be used as a means of getting back at your spouse, or words should never be used as a weapon. We can use words to weaponize, to use it as a weapon against our spouse. We want to be careful about the things that you say and the things that you do. And remember that whenever you say something, if you say it in anger, you can never take it back.
Correct.
Once it leaves, you can't take it back, and you can apologize, but the words have already been spoken. And so you want to be careful about the things that you. So I would say stop when you're irritated, when you're angry, when you're frustrated. Take a pause before you say something that you regret, or things that you cannot take back.
And sometimes too, I think the key point, when you feel something like that, you can just walk away and pick up the conversation later, because that will help you a lot. Because at the moment you're upset or you're angry, I can say, so a lot of things can say and you cannot take back. So the best thing to do, go back, calm yourself, and then we can take the same conversation back. But if we try to make the conversation at the moment, things can be escalated and then can be really turned bad.
Absolutely. So think before you speak. Carefully consider your words, and make sure that you pick in the right time to have certain types of conversations.
Correct.
So that you're managing the words that you are using with your spouse. And last, choose. Recognize that you can choose the times that you communicate. You can choose the time that you're coming together to talk about those difficult topics and those situations. And let it not be a situation where, again, you're frustrated, you're agitated, where the times are you're more prone to say things that you probably need to be careful about saying. Just because you're married doesn't mean that you're not going to have conversations that are tough, or conversations that are difficult topics.
Correct.
We're just saying that it's very important for you to make sure that you are doing it in the way that you're not bringing harm to your spouse.
Yes, and then the best thing also, for me, the key point, make sure when you talk a little bit louder or not, make sure the kid's not around.
Absolutely, that is a very good point. I feel like couples, if they're having a very important conversation or private conversation,
Correct.
it should be done in private,
Correct.
Not in earshot of your children or even out in public. Make sure that if it's a private conversation, it should be private, and that you are putting an example before your children as to how to communicate and what to say to your spouse.
And the best thing as well, remember, we are one. So that's the key point. The thing is, you don't want to, you don't want things to say to you. It's the same thing. You don't say to your spouse, because the same, I call it the sentiment that you have is your spouse have the same thing. So therefore, when we speak to each other, we respect each other the same thing. You will respect yourself.
Absolutely. So in summary, just be sure that you tame that tongue and that you're not using your speech or your words to be a weapon against your spouse, but that you are showing love and consideration even during those conversations that might be tough or those conversations that might be hard to have, but that you're remembering that this is your partner, this is the person that you love.
Yes.
And so it's making sure that we are on the same page and that we're not using our words against each other.
That's right.
And so we ask again, just drop down below what you do in situations where you're communicating with your spouse and how you've handled situations where they may have been times of conflict or confusion that you had with your spouse. What did you do? How did you handle the conversation?
Correct.
Share your comments below. We look forward to hearing from you. And as always, happy merging.